To me, cooking is not just about the flavor, it is also about the sights and the sounds. And is there a sound more enjoyable than that of a spoon hitting the top of a creme brulee? And is there a sight as beautiful as a delicious, decadent creme brulee? And that is what we're making today. Although a very fancy looking dish that you only see on TV shows, you don't need a whole lot to make a creme brulee, you just need to get your measurements right. We will be baking in order to make this creme brulee, so make sure you have an oven. If in case you do not have an oven, it's very easy, just switch apartments. But if you're lucky like me and have an oven, set it to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. So the downside of baking something that has to be as particular as this is you need to get your measurements right, like I said. But sometimes if you're making this for a small amount of people, there might be a little bit of wastage. So I'm making this as a portion size for 2 people. Unfortunately, I could only use half the egg, so the other half had to be used for something else, so plan ahead for that. Or maybe after this pandemic is over, you can invite your friends and make creme brulees for them. So whip up your egg and take about half of it and put it into a bowl so that it can be combined with our other ingredients. Then we'll be adding about 2/3 of a cup of milk. Now we're going to sweeten this up by adding 2 tablespoons of granulated sugar. And finally also some vanilla extract or vanilla flavor. If you're really rich and fancy, you could try and find actual vanilla bean and add that, but vanilla extract or vanilla flavor will work just as fine. Now simply just whisk your eggy, milky mixture till it is completely combined and pour it into a beautiful ramekin. Now you want to put this ramekin in a baking tray, and I will tell you why, because we'll be filling that with water about halfway, and that is called a water bath, and we do that in order to insulate the custard from either getting curdled or from getting directly exposed to the heat of the oven. While this is going on, your oven may have reached 325, so I would advise placing the tray there and then pouring the hot water. I did this personally because I think it was a little risky carrying a baking tray full of hot water and custard from my counter to my oven, and so I did it this way. I think safety comes first, so maybe avoid burning your hand because you really want to enjoy this custard / creme brulee with all your limbs unhurt. Then carefully slide your baking tray back into the oven and let that be there at 325 for 1 hour. This time would be great for you to be able to do the homework you've been putting off, or clean your room which you said you'd do last Monday, or you could just hang out on your couch and go on Twitter. Whatever, I don't care. An hour later, you can take your custard out of the oven and you want to let it cool down outside for about 10-15 minutes before popping it in the fridge. And this is pretty important because the fridge actually helps firm the custard up, which gives it that beautiful silky texture. So the fun part of the creme brulee is that you can actually prepare the custard almost half a day in advance so that it can really cool down and the middle of the custard is nice and cold. So when you brulee it, you have this delicious hot top and a very nice and cold interior. Hours later, when you're ready to brulee, you want to put your ramekin back in a baking tray and then sprinkle a very thin layer of sugar on top. Move your baking tray back into the topmost layer of your oven. I have a gas broiler, you ideally want that, so you want to broil it at a high heat for about 5 to 10 minutes. And at the end of those 5 to 10 minutes, this is how beautiful your creme brulee is going to look. Again, you want to leave this in the refrigerator for at least 20 minutes before you serve it, but trust me, it will be worth the wait. And the end result will be absolute perfection and absolute beauty. And now just go ahead, take a spoon, be bougie, and crack the top of that creme brulee and enjoy.